We are now entering week 4 of the government shutdown here in the United States. And honestly, I say keep it shut down. Let the fiat currency die. Let all these politicians never get paid, because I think becoming a politician is one of the ugliest things you can do with your life, but that's just me personally. My perspective, because you're literally enforcing your rules on other people for no reason instead of just following the law, statutes, and commandments of God. And I genuinely think that we wouldn't need a government anyway if we all followed the law, statutes, and commandments of God. But I know that that's a tall order. I know that that's very idealistic and not realistic. And although I wouldn't say I'm an idealist, I do say that I have ideals that I strive to live in and by. Absolutely. But it's just funny to me how the government seems to be more efficient when it's shut down than it is open. And to me, that just signifies just how corrupt the government really is and how disrupted it is. I don't buy the whole two-system party thing. I don't believe that there's like the left and the right. I think that's all a fugazi. And I think that George Carlin, if anybody knows who that is, he was completely on the money when he said that it's all one big club and you ain't in it. It really seems like that's the case to me. It seems like that's the orientation in which we are operating in. And it seems to me that it is our job to really dissociate and detach from the system in general, find other ways to thrive in the system. Now, of course, for all the people that are being affected by this government shutdown, whether it's through their pay or whether it's through their work or their opportunities, my heart goes out to you. My prayers are out to you as well. However, I also would encourage you then also to perceive if relying on the government or being involved with whatever it is that you're involved with is the most necessary thing to be involved with. Because look, if the government is shut down at any time, I mean, because who knows how long they're going to be shut down, right? Who knows how long? And if things are being affected, I mean, there's got to be other avenues of and other streams of income or of opportunities available or just ways to live in this life, right? There's more to this life than what we're seeing before us. And I think we all know that, but it's one thing to know it and it's another thing to completely understand it. Because you can intellectually comprehend it, but to know it in your heart that so many people are spending their time in chaos. They're not investing their time and energy and resources into their heart, mind, and soul. They're spending their time, they're spending this, they're spending that. And what else is there to do in this kind of system that we're in? That is the only thing to do, because spending and credit is what the whole system thrives on. And lies and deception and deceit and all of these false promises and all of these ranges of motion that actually go nowhere. Just, it's a hamster on a wheel. And we're told to tell ourselves that we are not hamsters on a wheel, that we are not going round and round and round getting nowhere. We're not giving 110% of our efforts. Because here's the thing, I don't believe that people are actually lazy. Like, there's a lot of people that are like black-pilled, and I'm definitely not black-pilled. I don't really trust anything when it comes to any part of the system or the infrastructure that we have as far as the institution goes. Whether it's education, medical, health, whatever, I just don't really trust it personally and generally. It's not to say there aren't good parts to it, but for the most part, I don't see the relevance to a lot of it. And, when you're looking at these things, when you're looking at I guess you might call them affiliations toward ideas, because that's what these entities, that's what these politicians, it's what all of these people involved are. They're affiliated with ideas. They're not really affiliated with the people. And we now have an opportunity, I genuinely think, that with this government shutdown, we have the opportunity to seize better opportunities. There's always a better choice. And I think that one of those ways in which we can seize this opportunity is to let go of what we think the system actually is and see it for what it is, and then accept it so that we can do something about it. And well, what do you do about this? What do you do about the system that is basically operating better when it's shut down? Well, you shut it down. You shut it down to some degree, and the only way to do that without violence, and I'm definitely not calling for violence, is through other avenues of life. And whether it's new forms of accepting currencies and such, or whether it's new forms of diversifying your ideas or communication or socialization, I think that one of the biggest things and the errors that people see that they don't know what to do about this error is that obviously we all know that everything is off. Something big is coming to America specifically. And I'm saying this specifically because I live in America and I've never actually technically been out of the country. So I'm speaking directly for and from an American's perspective as someone that's never been out of the country. I've been to Hawaii, I've been to the East Coast, I've been to pretty much anywhere in between the United States, but I've never actually left the United States. And in some ways, I don't ever feel to like vacate myself ever again. I don't ever feel the need to go on vacation because I'm in the trenches of the spiritual war and I'm on the front lines. I feel it every single day, growing more and more. It's just very much so on the front lines. And some days are just fantastic and everything's fluid and everything's going with the flow, and you can just really feel the Spirit emanating through you and everything's going your way. And then you have days where, or moments, because it's not always days, but it's moments where you feel as though everything is trying to stop you. Everything's trying to get in your way. Everything's trying to do something to just throw you off course. And I don't think that's a coincidence. Like, have you ever noticed that things start to glitch out around you when you start to emanate this higher vibrational frequency? You ever notice like maybe the charger in your phone wigs out for a second, or people around you are literally just, they're actually glitching out because they're programs, they're literally operating as an NPC. And I don't mean that to be belittling. I mean that to be just, it is what that is. They are literally having the ideas capture their soul to the point in which they do not have their soul. Because if Jesus doesn't own you, something else or someone else does. And that and I'm not saying that you can't take ownership of your own life. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that when you take ownership of your own life, you naturally give your life to Jesus, because it's part of the process of individuation, psychologically speaking, and it's part of the process for your whole overall tendency to really thrive in a direction that's going to exonerate and give a meaningful perception to how it is that you are able to live a life in accordance to the law, statutes, and commandments of God. Because if you can do that while acknowledging these other things and while seeing the deception, but still take ownership and give it to Christ, you're so much more powerful than you think. And I want to encourage everybody that is on this difficult path, because yes, there is something big coming. We all know it. It's not just coming to America, though. I don't think that's the case. Even though I said specifically America, and I do mean that, but I also mean to the whole civilization at large. And America is going to be the main battleground because that's really the last stand of freedom. Okay, look at the Great Britain right now. People are literally being arrested for X posts or memes. If that's not 1984 stuff, Brave New World type of thing, I don't know what is, man. And there's a lot of things that, if anybody doesn't know what Brave New World is by Aldous Huxley, check it out. In 1984, obviously by George Orwell. Both great dystopian novels, and by great I mean horrifying. And and also Fahrenheit 451 is another interesting one. But this is the time to stay in our Bibles. This is the time to recognize that whether you're conservative or liberal, we're all brothers and sisters in Christ, or they're working for someone else. And by someone else, I mean the devil. Because if you're not on God's team, then you're naturally going to be on someone else's team. Because you can't really, and even if you are on your own team, well, then you're idolizing yourself, which is exactly what Satan wants anyway. So, I mean, you're on somebody else's team if you're not on God's team. And I don't know about you, but I'd rather be on Christ's team because I know I get to go to sleep at night. Because sometimes there will be nights and days where, or even moments, right, where it's very hard to not think about what you need to do tomorrow or how you need to get prepared and how you need to really strategize, because I don't really get worried or concerned anymore because I don't really doomer max without knowing I'm doomer maxing. And when I do doomer max, I go all out to recalibrate myself down the line, because I think that's the only natural consequence that you ought to have. It's kind of like leaning into your vice so much that it becomes a virtue. I've talked a bit about this before, and I've also talked about this in my book as well, the Book of Oldishness. But I think that many people are very prone to negative thoughts because that's what they can resonate with or relate to. And it takes a real sharp paradigm shift to really see the positivity in everything. Like this is my journal that I've had. Well, I've only had this one for a couple months, but I have a whole stack of journals right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 journals for the last 8-9 years or something like that. And they've had all of my thoughts or ponderings or reflections or dreams that I've had during that time. And I can look back through it and I can see that there's this spiritual guide that I can look through and look to. And I can see the progression of my thoughts. I can also see the progression of my ways of thinking. I can see the thought algorithms shifting in real time when I go back and reflect and review some of these things. Because sometimes it's kind of like, remember when Dumbledore, I don't know if anybody's seen Harry Potter, but remember when Dumbledore, he takes out his memories and he's able to like relive those memories again? It's kind of like that, but the human version of that that's not magical. It's just practical. That's what I do sometimes whenever I am searching for answers inside myself that I don't feel is immediate. I go back and I just let the Holy Spirit guide me to what I need to look at and where I need to go to review certain things, like what year and what time and what date, because there are seasons of our lives, right? And there's a season for everything. There's a time to learn, there's a time to play, there's a time to review, there's a time to work very diligently, and there's a time to, okay, now it's time to relax or chill. And with the government shutdown, I think it's revealing just how little the government is necessary. Because unless you are looking at the news, do you really know that the government is shut down? Maybe because you can't go to the national parks or anything either, but apart from those few things, is there anything that's directly affecting your life? Now, of course, there are going to be people that are affected a little bit more heavily, right? Of course. But really, though, the majority of people are not being affected by this. And yet, they're still printing the currencies. Whoever decided that the fiat system ought to be in accordance to the government and what the government can, whoever decided that was the worst thing. I don't know why anybody would ever do that ever again. I really don't. I don't know why we ever got off the gold standard. I mean, I know why, but it's all the politics stuff. I really despise politics. I really despise it. I know it's necessary to talk about it, and I think that, how do I say this appropriately? Most people, when it comes to politics, they're only spending time. They're never investing time. They're always spending it. They don't know how to invest into their souls. They don't know how to invest into this life in of itself. And in a way, I kind of pity those people. I kind of pity the people that think that it's all actually happening. Now, look, I know that the world is a stage, but some of it, like, that doesn't mean that it's complete fugazi. Like, some of the things that are happening are almost unintended consequences of the playwrights, so to speak. And I think we would be giving some of these elites who are actually vampiric parasites too much credit to some degree when we talk about the rabbit holes and the theories and all of that. I don't think that it's wrong to question anything at all by any stretch of the imagination, but I also think that the whole notion that these people are not evil, have you seen what they've done? Like, have you done any kind of research at all? If you just do 10 hours of research, maybe even 5 hours of research on just like MK Ultra or just any Manhattan Project, like if you just do a few hours of research on some of these things for the United States government, you would see crazy things happening. You would not even be able to fathom some of the things that they've done. If you research Project Bluebeam, okay, research that a little bit and see what happens. Research all these little things that you might not even ever heard about, but because I wouldn't be surprised if Project Bluebeam is next. And for those of you that know what I'm talking about, y'all are the OGs of this channel. So you guys know what I'm talking about. People that don't know, they now have a reference that they can go look and research this on their own, because that's ultimately what I want to do, and what I'm aiming to do is for the encouragement of researching on your own. Because yes, something big is happening, something big is coming. It seems like this government shutdown is just like the sleep of the beast before it awakens. Now, I don't know. It doesn't feel like that way all the time, because I know that this time last year it felt like that. It felt like something big was happening, something big was coming. And in a way it has, but not in the way that we might have expected. So there's a lot to chew on with this topic in general, but my main consensus of the subject is that it's not appropriate to trust any of these people in government. It's not appropriate to believe that they have our best interests at heart. It's not appropriate to legitimize the system that is literally enslaving you and your future by the second and in real time. And it's not appropriate to give these people who, because wait a second, I just thought about this. What happened to the low gas price? What happened to the low grocery bills? What happened to all these things? What happened to, everybody talks about the Epstein files. I told you all last year, for those of you that have been watching my channel, I said, if Trump gets elected and he actually does share the Epstein files, I'll believe him. I'll believe he is who he says he is. And guess what? It's been 8 months? 9 months? Because what was it? Was it January? It was January 20th, wasn't it? So it's been 9 months. It's been 9 months, almost a year. And we've had all these other things happening and nobody's paying attention to it. And now they're telling us that it doesn't even exist, right? Like they're full on gaslighting some of these people. Do you guys really, come on now, like you guys really think that these people have our best interests at heart? Because I'm not saying that Trump is bad or good or anything like that. I'm just saying, you believe these people? Like, you really believe these people at all? Because who knows what they have to do in order to stay in power or to just be in that position? Who knows the games that they have to play? We don't know what we don't know about these people. So I think that we ought to just take it to be what it is and what it looks like. And the fact of the matter is, we've been promised very many things, and none of those things, okay, I won't say none of those things because that's hyperbolic, but we've been promised a lot of things, and a lot of those things have not happened. What makes that any different from any other politician before? Like, come on now. It's just, this is the way the world works. It's the way politics works. In the Regal Change Academy, we read The Prince a few months ago. And anybody that's never read The Prince, I highly recommend it. Okay, The Prince is really, really going to open your eyes to the way manipulation in politics works and just in power in general works. And it's not about knowing it for evil purposes. It's just knowing it because of how it works. It's kind of like with Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power. He's not talking about this because he wants to give people the ability to do evil. He's just saying this is what it is. So take that for what it is and do your own research. Figure out what's going on in your own time and trust your experiences. It's as simple as that, really. And love God. Peace be with you all. Until next time.